and England always have, because they have so many match winners on the bench, they can go and they can chuck those guys in there. Again, I go back to this. Southgate has had the greatest run in consecutive tournaments since Alf Ramsey. And he's done it without playing his most talented players, which to me is just mind blowing. Oh, and he's done it. And you guys explain this to me. I'm 100% on board with Southgate. Once you decide to play tactically this way, you've executed very well. You stuck to your game plan. But why was Dominic Calvert-Lewin not in the matchday squad? You don't know what's going to happen with Kane. If Kane falls down the steps and gets injured or pulls a muscle, and it does happen, who plays center forward for England? Are you really going to say, all right, Marcus, you're in there? Who's played? I think he's played like 6 games at center forward for United this year. Or look, Phil Foden's done that. I'll tell you what, playing false nine for Pep's City is completely different than playing up front for this England. It seems so strange. And so
why is that important? I don't understand why that's important.
Because I find it, for a manager that's been very risk averse, that's tried to cover all the bases. This is one base, which to me you're not covering when you tell Dominic Calvert-Lewin, go stand up. And it's like, look, it's like not having fire insurance on your house. Oh, yeah, why is fire insurance? I'm not going to be hit by lightning. Yeah. And then the day you do, and your rear end is on fire, you'll wish that you had. That's what I find. I'll be curious to see. I don't know if something happened that we don't know about, because it feels to me like the English media is so cheerleadery this tournament that there's never anything negative. Maybe it has been. I genuinely don't know, but it's so odd to me that I need to see Connor Cody on the bench in case everybody gets struck by diarrhea or something. But there's no.
That can strike quickly.
But even with the come on, is it Hugh? Help me out.
No, I'm happy, mate. I'm happy to say that's a strange decision.
Okay.
I guess the options are the fact that is it the idea that with so much of that talent, Calvert-Lewin is kind of down the pecking order, so you play slightly differently. I think you've touched on it yourself, and we're talking about that midfield battle, Hugh. I think part of that midfield battle is Jorginho against Mason Mount. I think Jorginho sat on Pedri and stopped him to a point, I guess. I think his pass completion was still 100%, but still he stopped him a little bit. So Jorginho and Mount is an interesting one in part of that midfield, but also Harry Kane dropping deep. So I wonder if, first of all, I think he would have probably played Rashford up front. True. Is he better than Calvert-Lewin? They're different. They're very, very different. The second option you had there was Foden, and maybe that will be part of this as well, where I really think Kane's got such a huge part to play to almost pad out that midfield a little bit and to step away from those centre-backs. So maybe in the Denmark game, if that was to be the case, it might have been something where you do play someone like Foden and the concentration is on dropping into those little areas and allowing, as Kane did for the equaliser, the likes of Saka to go and get beyond, Sterling exactly the same. And coming back to this Italy game, I think that is a great way that we're getting behind this opposition with generally, not 2 fullbacks, because I don't think Di Lorenzo does it as much, but there's an opportunity to get in behind in those areas against 2 wonderful centre backs. But as you said, if they are dropping too deep, that's good for us. And if they're staying high, we've got really exciting pace there. So maybe that's an answer to it, Hugh. What do you think?
I totally agree with you on that, but I just think that's the main question mark in terms of team selection. Bukayo Saka or Jadon Sancho to take on Emerson Palmieri, the Italy left back. I almost think that there's a case for Raheem Sterling to be moved over to that side, and some people would want Jack Grealish on the other side, but he's been used primarily as an impact sub, if you like, even got substituted, having come on in the last. But I think there's been a very particular use of him by Gareth Southgate. I think this is the only way really that England are going to be troubling Italy, to see Harry Kane, as he has done, a bit like Dani Olmo. Italy found it difficult to read him, a midfielder who basically played as a false 9 for Spain in the last game and set up the goal for Alvaro Morata when he came on and posed another question as well. The thing is, Jadon Sancho's trickery is absolutely fantastic. I think that's one of the reasons that he would start on the right-hand side. But I also think Bukayo Saka, who set up the own goal, if you like, is very, very direct and almost similar to Raheem Sterling on the other side. But there's a work rate issue as well with all of those decisions. I think Jadon Sancho probably misses out because of his defensive work rate. I think Jack Grealish the same. And this is what leads me back to Mason Mount. I think those people that believe he shouldn't be in the team and maybe a Phil Foden should start ahead of him, just think of the work rate that England's midfielders will have to go through against Italy in this final. Mason Mount has to start for that reason. I know there are people that have said he hasn't played particularly well. And of course, he missed a period due to isolation because of the COVID guidelines. But I think there's a reality to this. He worked harder than probably any England midfielder, bar Calvin Phillips maybe. So for me, he has to start. And whether he's going to be a key to England's win, I don't know. But I think he helps England stay in the game for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, when you can bring on a Grealish and a Foden to try and change gears. The same with Jadon Sancho too. And I think maybe if it's going to go England's way, they will need to be in this game for that length of time. And then maybe those substitutes can bring something different. And maybe if, and I don't expect it, but if there are maybe more tired, older Italian legs in that defense, maybe a substitute like Jack Grealish or Phil Foden can exploit it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.